Okay, I'd like to open the meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals, Village of Bartlett, Counties of Cook, DuPage, and Kane to order at 7:06. Please call the roll.
Mike Worden.
Here.
George Koziel.
Here.
Tom Floyd. Bob Bucaro.
Here.
Patty Hansen. Robert Carney.
Here.
Linda Hansen. Here.
Okay, you have before you the meeting minutes from October 3rd, 2013. Chair will entertain a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Moved by George, seconded by Robert to approve. Please call the roll.
Could you repeat who made the motion in the...
George and Robert.
George Koziel.
Yes.
Robert Carney.
Yes.
Linda Hansen.
Abstain.
Bob Bucaro.
Yes.
Okay. The only item on the agenda tonight is case number 13-18, MJB's Gerber Road Resubdivision. Is the petitioner present?
Yes.
Please come forward to the microphone. Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly affirm that the evidence you're about to give is only the whole truth?
I do. Yes.
And do we have the evidence of the mailing, the postcard, the posting of the sign?
Yes, we do.
Mark those exhibits A, B, and C.
And then we
For the-
also have the letter from the Park District.
Oh, yeah, the Forest Preserve District.
Preserve, I should say.
Do we count that as D, probably? Okay. For the record, they are non-committal at this time, the Forest Preserve District. Okay, go ahead and state your name for the record and present your case.
My name is Jack Borshevsky, and I'm with MJ&B Contractors. And do you want me to explain?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. What we're attempting to do over on Gerber Road is, is the board familiar with the situation, or should I kind of start from the beginning?
Start from the beginning.
Start from the beginning for the record so that we have a legal record for it.
Okay. A couple of years ago, we purchased that piece of property, actually took it on trade for one of the houses that we sold the gentleman that lived in there. And what we found is that what we could do is subdivide the property into two legal lots of record if we were to remove the garage from the existing house, side the house once the garage is removed, and then build a new garage on the south side of the property, and that would give us, that would allow us to have two legal lots of record with more than 100-foot frontage. And they would conform to the R2 zoning district. The only thing that, once we went through the application, we discovered that the front of the house, in yellow up there, is non-conforming to the current setbacks of, is it 30 feet? It's 30 feet, Sonia, or 35?
Currently it's 50 feet because it's zoned ER1, but once it gets rezoned, the setback will be 35 feet. So whichever one it doesn't meet it.
So the front portion of the existing home, once the rezoning takes place, is non-conforming. So what we're asking the zoning board to do is grant us a variance for something that's existing, to be able to have a conforming house on Lot 1.
Was that built in rural county zoning at one time, or was?
Yes, it was built in the county.
Okay.
And we annexed that whole area in back in 1986. And it was all just zoned ER1, which is the base zoning that anything that's annexed into the village is annexed to. And then you have to ask for a rezoning to go to one of the other zoning districts. And so it just stayed ER1 until this time.
What's the required frontage
For,
at 100 feet?
it's actually, the required frontage is 80 feet in the SR2.
All right.
And each lot would have more than 100 feet frontage, 100-foot frontage.
When was that original building constructed? Do we have an approximate date?
Truthfully, I don't know.
It looks like probably around turn of the century, somewhere between 1900 and 1910, according to the assessor's office.
And it looks like there was, by the appearance of the existing residence, it looks like there was 2 additions put onto the existing home before we purchased it.
One of them being the garage.
But that was all prior to being annexed.
No, the garage, I believe, got put in shortly after it got annexed, because we have a record of it in our building permit file, so.
But there was no requirement for the variance at that time, evidently.
Nope. That was not looked at by the building department at that time. They just issued the permit for the addition because it met the addition met the setbacks.
So basically, we're looking at this non-conforming area no matter what happens at this point. It needs to be addressed, even if they weren't going to divide the lot up
It would need to be addressed
at some point.
at some point, yes.
Right, okay.
If they ever wanted to do an addition or something like that, if they didn't do it now, they would have to go through the process then. So doing it up front then makes it an easier sale to a new owner.
Have you had any comments from anybody about this?
I've had a couple of phone calls, just wondering what was going on.
What was going on? Okay.
At the Plan Commission meeting, residents that live in the house to the north came out, and they were very happy that there was something being done here. Although they didn't speak at the public hearing, they told us that afterwards. So but they were very happy about it.
They live right up here.
Right.
So Jack, this house, the existing house is empty now? You took it on
No,
trade?
we're currently, we have a tenant in the house, we're renting it. But our intention is to, once we subdivide the property, our intention is to build a house on the vacant lot, sell that house, the new house, and then sell the existing house also. Our intention is not to keep it, our intention is to sell it and put a permanent resident in both homes.
Before the sale of the existing house, would there be a refurbishing of the house taking
Yes.
place?
Because once we remove the existing garage, we have to construct a new garage, and at that time, we're going to put money into kind of upgrading or making the existing house more attractive, let's just say, because it's a little dated.
Good point. You're absolutely correct. That's why I asked the question if
Yes,
there was an
absolutely.
approximate year of construction.
We don't feel that it's going to be a saleable property if
Right.
we leave it the way it is.
It would be tough.
So overall, we're supposed to look forward to aesthetically improved property.
Yes.
Any further questions from the board?
Yeah, seems like a reasonable thing to want to do. That way you get to do both projects.
At this point, we'll open this up to the public. Does anyone have any comments in the audience?
We're not too far away now, so I pass that area every day.
Okay.
So, when I look at that could so much
Yes, yes, it can.
Any further discussion or motions?
Make a motion to put forth positive recommendation to the board to approve.
And second?
It's moved by Robert, seconded by George. At this point, we shall close the public hearing. Any final discussion? Please call the roll.
Robert Carney,
Yes.
George Koziel,
Yes.
Babu Caro,
Yes.
Linda Hansen,
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, we shall pass on a positive motion to the board. Stay in touch with Sonia to find out when it appears on the agenda.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Anything in old and new business?
I don't know if there's any old business. We pretty much have caught up with our minutes and everything. New business, there's some, probably will have a hearing next month also. And then we've got some future projects, but nothing, there's not a lot in the pipeline, but you'll probably have another meeting in April. But we'll keep you posted. And some of the things, trying to think of what else there. That's pretty much it. There's a couple of subdivisions that might come our way, but they're still a little off in the future.
I know the state doesn't move with all due speed, but any idea on 59 and 20?
There's a letter of intent for the project, which they had a final public hearing on, and the letter of intent will then lead to an agreement with the state on the project. There will be some local share for us. Part of that project will include a new turn lane into the Jane Center building and property. They will pay for that share of it, but through the village. And it'll be built as pretty much, as I understand it, the last alternative that was 9U. I couldn't keep track of all the numbers, but 9U was the alternative, which will be put forth, and it'll involve new access coming off a 20 turn lanes, a wider cross-section through the neighborhoods up there, and as it was presented at the public hearing. So it's probably not going to be a 2014 project, but I think a 2015 project. And we'll be dealing with some text amendments. The impervious surface one, which you reviewed last time, was approved, so that's old business. And then we've got coming forward with the rest of Chapter 5, and there might be an amendment to the sign code also.
Okay.
So that's what I can think of for now.
I've gotten a lot of phone calls past couple of weeks about additions and possibly needing variances, so we could see an uptick in some variances this spring. We'll see how it pans out.
If spring ever arrives.
Right. If the ground ever thaws.
Very good. Anything else?
Jim, this is just a general question. If someone was in a duplex and one owner of the duplex wanted to re-roof, re-side, and couldn't get the other half to agree, so they would come up with some color style clash, does the village have any say in this process?
Our building director has a monotony code, and he has some requirements about re-roofing and re-siding, and if you do so much of a roof or a side, you have to do all of it. So there's you can do minor repairs, but then when you start talking about 25%, 30%, you're really talking about doing it all. So that would be a building code and building director decision, but they want to avoid those kind of situations. And we've had them where people only want to do a quarter of their roof, and it doesn't match. So he incorporated some standards that require if you're at a certain percentage, then you have to go full bore and do it all.
So if one owner wanted to improve the property by re-roofing, re-siding, and the other one didn't, would the village go to the other half and say, here's the issue that's going on, or would you do something about it?
If the roof is in that bad a shape that it needs to be done, and then you're getting into that life safety kind of thing, that a roof, if it needs to be done, they could compel the owner to do it. Fortunately, we don't have a lot of situations like that, but it has happened.
Yeah, the reason for my question is I've driven by the particular area on Army Trail, and I don't know why it just really caught my attention lately that there are just a lot of duplexes in there that have half and half now. And I mean, that's just what I see from Army Trail. I can't imagine what it looks like from the street, from the curb. You talk about curb appeal. Boy, that's a turnoff.
Usually with a duplex, though, the roofs are slightly separated.
Yeah.
There is a divider. I live in a townhome that's particularly a duplex, and the two roofs, while they look the same, they are separated. So you can technically re-roof a roof without impeding on the other guy's roof or person's, and yeah, it runs into a part where it doesn't match, but hopefully you get along with your neighbors and you try and match it the best you can.
Just curious.
Yeah, and Robert's right. You can. They do have like a party wall down
And
the
it's just a
center.
ridge,
It's
it might be
little bit.
a 4-inch step, but that's enough to divide the two roofs, and then you have the firewall in between the two units anyway, so your property's separated.
Right.
And these must be older, because I can understand that it would be easier to do if you have a definitive separation of the roof, but where it appears to be just two flat surfaces. I mean, it is, when I look at it as one roof that covers both halves of the duplex. And those, I mean, they do seam it nicely, but it's, no pun intended, black and white. And there are some like that. And when I saw it, I'm thinking like, wow, is there anything that we as Bartlett can do to prevent that from happening?
Isn't that Hanover Park we're talking about?
That's Hanover, right? Where you're
It
looking
might
at?
be.
It is.
Hanover or Carroll Stream, right.
Yeah.
I know that they have the monotony code, and then, you've got your life safety issues. If the roof needs to be repaired and it's in, one's failing, if the other one's failing, the building director will, kind of go after them. But I think he uses his discretion and his monotony code to try to get things to match. Same with siding. It's an issue, though, sometimes.
Thank you.
Anything else? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? All in favor? Unanimous.